Hello, and welcome to Mitchell Consulting's webinar series for our Mitchell University. Today we're going to be working with Sap Business One. We're going to be talking about Journal Vouchers. In Sap Business One, what we can do is we can actually take journal entries, save these before we actually post them. So let's talk about some concepts when we go through this. If we go into financials, we will see here that we have journal entries and journal vouchers. So put simply, a journal voucher is a journal entry that's saved in a draft form. This is SAP's way of saving it in draft form. Because it's saved in draft, we're not going to affect any general ledger, any historical data, and so on. If you know from working with SAP, we have the ability of doing this with all documents. So I'm going to show you what a save and draft is just real quick before we go on. So for example, let's say we're going to do an AR invoice. Let's open up an AR invoice. So here, again, if we create an AR invoice, and let's say we're going to do here for so now, if I was to actually add this AR invoice, it's going to be added to the system, which means it's going to affect the general ledger, it's going to affect the historical files, it's going to affect the customer's aging. So let's say I have a big document here, but I don't really want to add it, but I don't want to lose it because I have several line items here. I can actually go in SAP and go File, Save as Draft, and you can see that that document was saved into draft. You can see down here that the draft document 43 was created. So I can then later on go in to my drafts and call up my AR invoice and then eventually add it and post it to the system. So the journal vouchers allow us to do the same thing. What it allows us to do is go in and actually do stuff in a temporary mode. Plus, we can also use it to look at reports. So again, if we look at our journal entry screen, we can see from working with SAP, this is a typical journal entry screen. You can see here, this is a journal entry that was done. So you can see that eventually the journal vouchers will become journal entries. Since this journal entry has been posted, you can see the effect of general ledger. So let's go take a look. Let's go into journal vouchers, and we can do a couple things. We can look here at the open only. So we can see that we have no journal vouchers open. If we uncheck this, we can see that this journal voucher here was closed. So again, another thing nice about journal vouchers, we have that kind of a historical data and so on. So let's start. So we're going to go here and we have two options. We have add entry to new voucher and add entry to existing voucher. So let's start here. We're going to add and we're going to create a voucher. So you can see it looks just like the journal entry screen. So again, you can see here we can put a posting date, a due date, a remark, again, similar to journal entries. And we do have a detailed webinar on the financials in the journal entries. So I'm not going to go too deep into how all this works, but you can see here that the journal voucher is like the journal entry. I can do my fixed assets, my fixed exchange rate, my reversals, my adjustments, and so on. Another thing that's nice about the journal voucher, it allows us to save it, not only save it, but save it in an unbalanced situation. So for example, let's say we're going to call up this account here, and we're going to do a debit of $100. Right? So now I can add to voucher, and I'm getting this message, unbalanced transaction. I can suspend, which means it'll go back and let me continue on, or I can just go ahead here and continue. So now what's happening is I have an out of balance, but I can save it. So I'm going to click Update. And again, it's giving me the message again. So this is nice because what we normally do with a lot of our clients, especially when we're going live on the system from a legacy system, typically the beginning balances will be entered as one big journal entry. So let's say we go live on the 1st. What we do is from the legacy system, we run a trial balance on the last day of the previous month, and we can have hundreds of general ledger accounts with hundreds of transactions. So what we want to do is we need to start entering. So we need to go in and one by one we need to enter, or we need to use the DTW to do a data import. So we're importing every GL account. So we're going to bring in the bank account with its ending balance, the receivable ending balance, all my expense accounts. So what's nice is here I can do it this way. So if I have a lot, let's say I'm doing it by hand, I can go ahead and just stop at any time, because if I have an out of balance condition, I can stop. Now I have two options here. If I want to continue on with this, you can see add entry to new voucher or add entry to existing voucher. I would select the existing voucher and click here. Okay? And what I can do is go in, or I can just double click on here and I can continue where I was. So I can do a couple things. If I click on the line, you can see here that I can continue where I left off. If I click on here, add to existing voucher, I'm going to create another transaction underneath the journal voucher. So if I click here, let's say I'm going to do it this way. And again, I'm going to add to voucher. And again, I'm going to suspend that. Let's just go ahead and put in let's make this a balanced one. So again, since that was a balanced, which means my debits and credits are equal, it just lets me add. So now if I do it that way, let's just click update here. So you can see under Journal Voucher 11, I actually have two transactions. I have this one and this one. So the add to existing voucher will create another transaction under the voucher. If I want to continue where I left off on the transaction, I would double click and I'm on the transaction. If I add here to a new voucher, what's going to happen is I'm going to create another voucher. So you're going to see here now I have voucher 12. So I can do the same thing in voucher 12. Yeah, I'm just going to click update so I can save everything. So now, if I cancel out and go back in, the nice thing about it, and let's just move the journal vouchers here to the common area so we can get back to it. So now the nice thing about this is I can go where I left off, because before, if I was doing a regular journal entry, I would have to, my debits and credits would have to equal, and I would have to actually post it. So this is good when I'm doing this kind of stuff. This is used a lot, which is very helpful to create like a simulation, or you want to make some adjustments, but you don't know how they're going to affect, so you want to run these and enter them first and make sure everything's okay and then post them. So again, you can see that Journal Voucher number 12 has the one transaction here. Journal Voucher 11 has the two transactions. Okay, so let's open this up. Let's just go here and let's choose an account here. I'm going to take this exchange account, which you can see the exchange account right now has no balance. So we're going to pick the exchange account here, which is the 116 account. And we're going to go here and we're going to put, let's put 1,500. And let's just make this 1,500. So again, I'm in balance now, so I can do a couple things here. I can actually, from this point right here, I can actually post a voucher from here, which is going to post everything on the voucher, or I can go to the voucher report and post it. But before I do that, I want to see something really nice with the journal vouchers. We talked about that simulation. I can include my journal vouchers on my financial statements, on my financial reports to kind of see a what-if situation. So if you notice here, you can see that this account right here, this exchange account right here, has no balance. But I have this transaction here for $1,500. So let's go here and let's go to the financial reports. And let's go to financials. And let's just run a balance sheet. Okay. And you can see you have the option here for add journal vouchers. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to run this report. So I'm going to run it for the end of this year. Take note. Okay, you can see here that we don't see our exchange account. Let's go back here. Let's and display accounts with zero balance. Make this a little bigger so we can see. And let's see, what was our exchange account? Was the 116 account? Right here. So you can see our exchange account has no amount, right? It's zeroed out. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to run the same report, but I'm going to say add the journal vouchers. I'm going to run this report again. And now you can see here on the exchange account the amount. So one of the nice things about that is to do that kind of stuff, and I've used that before, especially when we have clients that, let's say their inventory, they need to do a lot of reconciliation. They're out of balance, they haven't reconciled, so say their inventory cost of sales is out for several months. And this actually, I did this for a client. They were out of balance for like 5 months. So what we did is we ran all the scenarios, and what we would do is we would sit down and we would create the journal vouchers for every month so we can then run our financials. I did it with their controller, so we can run our financials every month and get a picture of what's going to happen. Once the accountant said, yes, that's fine, we went in and we posted the vouchers. So a nice feature is that you can see that. You can see the vouchers here. And again, you can see that on the financial reports. It's on the balance sheet, add journal vouchers. It's on the trial balance. Again, add journal vouchers. And all the other ones you can see here, add journal vouchers. It's going to be on all the different reports here, so you can do that. So the nice thing about that is you can use that for kind of like what ifs or just scenarios. Sometimes you may want to use it. You may never post the voucher, but you just want to use it again for financial purposes. You can actually add it there, which is a nice feature. So let's also go here and let's look at the voucher report. I'm just going to kind of move this into my common function area, so I don't have to keep going to the menu. So here in the voucher report, again, you can run specific things. So we're going to do it for today's date, but we can do it for all dates. We can do from specific voucher numbers, the transaction numbers under the vouchers, and we can say if we want to display open and close. I'm going to click OK, and you're going to see here that I have. And this is new functionality that was added in the version 8.8. The journal voucher has been with all the systems. If you're working with SAP 2007, the 8.8s, and here on the version 9.0. But this voucher report was added in the version 8. This is nice because it gives you the flexibility of choosing the ones you want. So for example, you can see that voucher 11 has 2 transactions, transaction 1 and transaction 2. The old from 2007, if you went to the journal vouchers itself, and you click this, and you go to post, it's going to, post everything, so it doesn't give you the flexibility of looking at what's going on without opening it. You're going to post the voucher. The report itself gives you some flexibility on what you want to post. So again, let's go here. Let's clear out this date. And again, we're going to run for everything. So you're going to see this one here is grayed out. Okay, that's because this one was closed. So let's do a simple one. Let's actually post 12. So if I click this, it's going to do all of them. And again, you can't do a one-sided posting. Notice here that I can't deselect these lines. Okay, if I select, for example, this one, nothing happens. I have to, obviously, because at this point, my debits and credits have to equal because I'm actually posting. So I can do that one, and you can see here, and I'm going to do a post. And you're going to see right now how it's posted. So if we go to the actual journal entry screen, open up the journal entries, and let's look at our last journal entry. Okay, you can see now that it created the journal entry. And you can see where the journal entry came from. You can see here is the journal entry I just did. You can see the source code is JE, but what's nice, it lets me drill into the journal voucher. So you can see here that when it's this way, as opposed to a, let's find one that's just a regular journal voucher, if I have any. You can see here that this was a journal entry done directly to the journal entry screen. Because it was done directly here, all right, what's happening is you see the origin is JE, but you don't see the golden arrow, the yellow arrow, the drill down, because this lets me know that this was entered directly through this journal entry screen. I didn't use the journal voucher. If I look at this journal entry, you can see here that the origin is still JE, which is a journal entry, versus this origin here, which was a delivery. You can see DN, and it opens up the delivery ticket. You can see here that it's JE, but because I have this, I know exactly where it came from. So this journal entry came from a journal voucher. So here it is, number 12, and I can double-click, and I can see the journal voucher as well. So that's a little functionality that was added in the 8.8 versions, so you can get this information here. All right? So that's kind of how the journal entries, the journal vouchers work. It's very nice functionality. Let's just kind of repeat what we've done and kind of go over what we've done. We can see here that when we do a journal voucher, this is SAP's way of taking a journal entry and saving as a draft. I didn't show you that, but if you go into a regular journal entry, here you don't have the ability to save as draft. You can see it's grayed out. Save as draft is SAP's way of storing it temporarily. You saw the example I did with an AR invoice. I can save as draft, which means I'm not affecting anything, and I'm going to come back later and then either complete it and then add it and so on when it comes to a document. Here, the journal voucher lets me do that. If you notice the journal entry screen, you can see here is the same as the journal voucher entry screens. You can see they're the same. You have this, the numbering, the posting date, the due date, the doc date. Again, all the information here. If you want to work with templates and so on. If we look at the journal vouchers and we open up one, again, we're looking at open only here, so we're just seeing this one here because we posted 12. And again, you can see that the journal voucher looks just like the journal entry. Again, you have the posting date, the due date, the doc date. If you want to create a reversal, you can do an adjustment to the 13th period. You can fix exchange rate, automatic tax. And again, all your information is here. You can see everything here within the system. So again, to create a journal voucher is relatively simple. What we do here is we have right now journal voucher 11. So I have a couple options. If we want to edit one of the transactions under 11, we just double-click on it, and we can continue on. So if we want to go here and put another account, let's say in the case that we were entering our trial balance, and we did it, we had 50 accounts, so we did a few, and we just want to continue on. Plus, the nice thing about another thing about the journal voucher is you can be what they known as out of balance. You can see here my total debits are 35. My total credits are 15. I have an out of balance condition of $2,000. I can still update this. It's going to give me the warning. If I click continue, it will save it. If I update it, again, it'll give me the warning, but I can continue. So what's nice about that is if I have a detailed journal entry I have to make, I can actually work through it. I can stop, come back, and go back in. And once I double-click on it, you can see here I would just continue on. If I want to add a new transaction to an existing voucher, I choose this one, Add Entry to Existing Voucher. What this will do is you can see we have two transactions. If I click this, you can see it opened up voucher 11, but it's going to create transaction number 3. If I want to start a whole new voucher, for some reason, I would just go here to Add Entry to New Voucher. So you can see this is 11. I'm going to add new. It's going to go to 13 because we posted 12. And again, I have the same information here. I don't know how many accounts that's with a 7. so on. And again, as long as I can add to the vouchers, see here, when I'm in balance, which means my debits equal my credits, and I add to voucher, I just don't get the warning. Again, I still have to create an update here to save it. So I have everything in the system. Okay. If I want to go in and remove, I can remove. We go to Journal Vouchers. Okay, you can see here. If you want to remove that, you can right-click. You can remove the Journal Voucher here. So let's say I totally made a mistake on that. I want to remove it. I can go ahead and remove it. It's going to ask me, do you want to remove the whole voucher? If I say OK, you can see that voucher 13 is gone. I can do that. I can add a new entry. So now I'm sitting here at 14. Let's just put another one in. Again, I'm going to do this one balanced. Again, add to voucher. And you can see now I have 14 with the 1, and I'm going to update. Okay, you can see the operation is successful. So we have all this stuff. We can look at here. We're looking at open only. So if we click on this one, now we're looking at 10, which was closed. 11 is still open. 12, which was closed. 13 is no longer here because 13 was removed. It was deleted. So there's no record of 13 because we didn't save it. So we have 10, 11, 12, and then 14. Again, open versus closed. So typically we come in here, we want to look at open only. Right? So we have them here. That's how the journal vouchers work. Again, the advantage of the journal voucher is we can use it in reports before we post. So let's see if I still have that one. Yes, we still have the exchange account. So you can see here that if I look at the balance of the exchange account right now, it is 0. But I have this journal voucher, which is a credit to the exchange account for $1,500. Again, that allows me to run my reports. So if I want to go to financials, go into financial reports, and again, it's available on the balance sheet, the trial balance, the profit and loss, and so on. So let's just go here to the balance sheet. You can see here we're going to display accounts with 0 balance, and we're not going to add the journal voucher. So by doing this, you're going to see here that the exchange account is right here, and there's no balance because there's no balance in the account. But we want to do our little what if, and let's add that journal voucher. We go back now, and we can see that the exchange account has the credit of the $1,500. So again, that's another nice feature of the journal voucher. You get that little kind of a what if going on in there, so you can do these simulations. Once you post, it's going to actually be the correct amount. And again, that holds true on the trial balance, add journal vouchers, and all the reports down here. You can add journal vouchers. We have the journal voucher report. This functionality was added in the 8.8 versions. And again, you can just look at everything here. You can look at everything open and closed. So if we go here, we're going to look at everything. Again, we can see that 10 is closed and 12.1 is closed because we did this posting. You can see that 11.1, 11.2 hasn't been updated, as well as this one here. So let's just go here and let's post this one. So now I'm going to post the ones that have, make this bigger, it doesn't fit. We're going to post the one here with the actual exchange account. So we click that, we click post. So 11-1 will be posted, so technically it'll be closed. And you can see here I'm getting a message, unbalanced transaction. Right? It's not going to let me post it because it's out of balance. Remember, we can't post if we're out of balance, so we have to go in here. Let's just drill into here, and we can see how we're out of balance. Let's just go ahead and add an account. Because we're posting, now we have to make sure that we're in balance. So we're going to go ahead and just put a 2,000 here, so we can see our debits equal our credits. Click Update. Okay, Update. Okay. Now we can select it, this one here. And now when we post, we can see that it posted. Again, you can keep the journal voucher in that unbalanced, so debits don't equal credits, but obviously once you post, they have to equal. So you can see now that's closed out. So now if we look at this exchange account, you can see that it now has a balance. So it's in there. So again, we can run that scenario simulation and see what it does. You can also look at when we actually do post the voucher, the audit trail shows from the journal entry. So if I go here to my last journal entry, again, you can see that this JE, which came from here, which we can see here, I can click on it and I can see where it came from. So I can look at the journal voucher that it came from. So again, really nice functionality built into SAP, the journal vouchers. They do a lot of things. We use them a lot. I use them a lot, especially when we have a new client. And typically what we do is after we go live, we have to enter the beginning balances from the legacy system. So typically they'll have a trial balance the day before we go live from the legacy system. I mean, this depending on the nature of their general ledger. There could be hundreds of GL accounts, especially on your P&Ls. You can have hundreds of expense accounts with balances. If it's going to be done either by hand, it's done to the journal voucher, or we do what's known as the DTW, the Data Transfer Workbench, which is a built-in data conversion program within SAP. And if you want to learn about that, we do have a detailed webinar on that. So typically we do that. And what the DTW will do is basically we'll create the journal voucher. We don't want to post right away, so we want to create the journal voucher. And again, this way we have some control that once we do that journal voucher, we can go in and then we can go look at what came in. We can make sure everything's okay, make any changes. After we make the changes, then we can go ahead and post. And you're going to see of this transaction 11 here, you can see that this one's still open. You can see that this one's closed. So if I want to look at open only, you'll see what's open. 14 is open and 11. It's still down here going to show both. So again, nice functionality. Very good to work with, journal vouchers. Like I said, I use it a lot, especially in situations where, and clients use it a lot, where they're out of balance and we need to enter some journal entries. And again, we have to enter journal entries for several months. So we want to actually put them all in the vouchers so we can then run the financials and the trial balance, looking at these vouchers, making sure we're okay. And then when we're okay, we know it's going to be okay, we can post. As opposed to entering the journal entries, posting the journal entries, and realize that we did something wrong and we have to reverse the journal entries and repost. So it gives you some nice little flexibility that way. Okay, well that concludes our webinar today. Again, this webinar is being recorded. It'll be available on our website. You can visit us at www.mitchellgroup.com to view this as well as the others in our training series. And we thank you for your time.